Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another One Piece chapter review after so long. A very late one, chapter 1062, Adventure in the Land of Science. Before that, I've been a bit busy and all that stuff with my life and all that stuff, and I've been only had time to do Andor streams and occasionally My Hero Academia, but I'm hoping to try and do some more of these One Piece streams over the weekend, or at least one more, but yeah. Hopefully I'll have a bit more time and all that stuff to do all this stuff. But yeah, anyway, on to the actual review. But yeah, Adventures in the Land of Science. Before that as well, there's also the continuation of Jammer 66 on Emotionless Excursion, Volume 20. Meanwhile, in Chocolate Town, Cocoa Island, where we see that the entire inhabitants have been frozen in ice, in which I think we see the mayor, one of the Mink citizens, and some of the other regulars. There appear many of them running and pleading and all that stuff. Well, there's only a few people there, like 4 Chilorettes, but we can see most of them are running or pleading and all that stuff, and they're frozen. And this is clearly from the 2 visitors they've had earlier, and this is probably, for most people, this is clearly Aokiji, which, yeah, shows that Blackbeard is starting to make his move, since he's, many people did theorize that Blackbeard would attack Big Mom's place before, but Hancock. I think there's even a fan-made comic about it, where you had Katakuri versus the Blackbeard pirates. But clearly that was not to fail to be the case. It was actually after Hancock, much to the surprise of everyone. But yeah, but it seems like there is some truth to that comic, just the wrong individual. And no, instead they sent an admiral, or ex-admiral. Anyway, to the actual chapter, the Straw Hats are shocked that the woman introducing herself is calling herself Vegapunk. Retsuin realizes that referring to that Vegapunk. Let's see with the Vegapunk telling him to put a sock in it, and Frankie saying how he's such a huge fan and admires her work, being in Vegapunk's lab for 2 years and all that stuff. Let's see, and I think depending on the translation, you said that even didn't get to finish all you're done and all that stuff. But he wants to show off in front of Vegapunk, with Usopp gleefing about the giant robot of his dreams, fanboying off the fact it's bigger than the General Frankie, and wishes Luffy and Chopper here to see this. Sanji's just going on googly-eyed over the fact that Vegapunk is apparently a hot babe, if you will, as the translation describes it. She's just remained silent of their itsy, I suppose you could say, silliness, while Robin, in a calm manner, goes like, surprised as he never heard that Vegapunk was a young woman and all that stuff. Given the fact that Vegapunk has a very long active history, which Vegapunk here actually reveals that she's not obviously the main body, which he refers to as the Stellar Bunny, but actually Vegapunk 02. Vegapunk left the evil and all that stuff. And she plans on, due to the fact that the steal their valuables because the research budget is constantly stretched to the seams, if you will. So she's asking them to hand over their valuables, but Nami, is horrified at the fact that she tried to steal from them, saying that, how could you do this after saving us and all that stuff? Asking what she's trying to do and all that stuff, while Lilith, Vegapunk, is saying that she did not come here to save her. And, telling them that these waters are normally unreachable by ships because, well, the things that she has surrounding them, which reveals to be mechanized sea beast weapons and all that stuff, and many of them look like the ones from that were used again in the Fishman Island. Well, at least some of them kind of remind me. They're like the lion and the polar bear, but they all have sort of mecha things. I think there's even a dog with Chopper's reindeer hat design, I will admit. Yeah, there's like a bull, a giraffe, I think a giraffe. let's see, a bulldog. Let's see, I think a chipmunk, a squirrel maybe, but yeah. But anyway, Frankie's excited while Usopp is just terrified, even though his fears running out before its excitement. But the likes of Zoro remains calm, while Brock and Nami are terrified. But before they can attack, let's see, Lilith is being told by someone not to go plundering again, saying that this is not a scientist's pride. Without telling telling the person that who called Shaka to shut up and stop being all good, saying that their pride of scientists will not help increase their budgets. Telling them they're not going to surrender, as that is the Straw Hat crew, and let's see, that they're amongst the Yonko crew, and their captain became an emperor of the sea and all that stuff, but of course, Lilith just giggles, saying that since they're probably going after them, that it's the treasure. But let's see, the one called Shaka tells them that let's see, that she's made a mistake, and even though she questions that since they cannot escape, let's see, he tells them that she's underestimating by looking at Zoro, the pirate hunter with, like, let's see, over 1 billion bounties, and he's calmly hanging back and knows that he can slaughter her and all the sea beasts within instant range. And the same goes for the devil child, Nico Robin. But she questions this since she has, like, the sea beast and all that stuff. As Vegapunk, that Stella ends up saying the mighty always determine the first foe should strike down. You ought to think harder. As she starts to see us doing this, she tends to notice Sanji and Frankie being goofy again. As she seems to be blushing in embarrassment, realizing that the talkative jokers are more of the distraction, and that she wasn't paying close enough attention. With Zoro then asking Vegapunk if he's got some, let's see, they've got some demands for him, and you're going to listen to that. Let's see, with like the reveal that the Shaka, the good, is actually Vegapunk 01, and he's like wearing some sort of helmet thing and telling them that that's fine, as he has happened to have an interest in the Straw Hat crew. On. Meanwhile, we cut to Luffy that's saying that Bonnie has been here before and all that stuff. And she refers that's when she was a kid and the lab was normal back then. So she's asking why they come back, and that she's got a order set with Vegapunk, and depending on his answer, let's see, she may or may not kill him for what she considers his crimes. And it's revealed that Vegapunk turned her father into a cyborg. Luffy, of course, thinking that's cool, but she says it's not, since he's lost the sense of humanity and he doesn't even know he is anymore. And it's revealed that it's actually Kuma, though she doesn't tell them, but we see this image of Kuma right next to her as she's explaining. She explains how he's been turned into a pure, living, thinking weapon. Jimbo thinks that it's a terrible thing to suffer from, with she agreeing how Vegapunk must pay for that. With Luffy end up saying sorry about that boogie, but she corrects him saying Bonnie, and Luffy finally ends up actually properly calling her name afterwards. With Luffy and Chopper now going on the surface, going all scoogly-eyed for it and all that stuff. Let's see, again, how he wants to find, just after when he was just about to say find some food. With Bonnie thinking that, oh yeah, she met Sabo and she needs to, let's see if she met Sabo and Mirage-Ra, but decides not to tell Luffy just yet. With Luffy and Chopper fanboy from the fact that there's a giant robot and space monster in this sort of futuristic city, if you will, of like spear bubbles and rocket ships, if you will. And it looks like they're about to fight. Jimbo is puzzled by all this. Luffy wants to ride, but Bonnie says they're intruders. Let's see, Chopper telling him to be careful, as Luffy ends up using his rocket to stretch at the monster, but it eats him, much to the shock of the Straw Hats, but it goes through him. It ends up hitting one of the buildings. Leo was checking that he got okay. Luffy confused since he got swallowed. And then Bonnie notices a giant parfito of desserts, cookies, fruit, and all that stuff. With her, Luffy, and Chopper are just about to try and eat, but Jimbo says, be careful, that could just be a trap to capture them. But they phase through it, and the three get annoyed, wondering like how they passed through as they're trying to grab it, and they're all getting angry, but one of them asking if they died at some point, though as I think Jimbo explains that it's a hologram, though he's never seen one in person. With Luffy angry and burning with rage, saying someone's got to pay. But let's see, Bonnie explains that it's about, it's a three-dimensional light image and all that stuff. Something that comes out of a comic strip to a fountain was a world, which Luffy just gets angry at the fact that it's an image. And I realize that the monster from space is arguably one he sipped through and all that stuff. With Jimbo commenting that probably the same for the robot, and Lucy saying that no one can actually make something like that. Meanwhile, Chopper noticed that there's a picture of Buttons with food and all that stuff. With Bonnie telling him not to bother as everything here is lies, but Jimbo starts to then comment how he seems to have noticed something. The sea is cold and all that stuff, but yet here it's nice and warm. And then this giant, what appears to be a sort of lamb girl, ends up showing up, saying that yes, Jimbo's correct. This is a tropical place, even though it's a winter island. And she says it's thanks to this island's AC that she created. They can control the temperature of the island itself. Let's see, with Luffy commenting that the kid in front of them is as big as Kaido. Thinking that it's a hologram, he attacks it, but she gets annoyed and then punches Luffy. All that stuff sends him flying into the machine. And then a sort of let's see, Coca-Cola, burger, and fries and all that stuff come up. Let's see, with or hamburger meal, if you will. Let's see. Well, granted, they call it fries, and I think in the UK we would call it chips, but yeah. With Bonnie getting all loved-eyed for the hunger and all that stuff. With then, let's see, our gluttonous trio starting to eat and all that stuff. And then they start pressing all these kind of food things for what they want, like steak, omelette, rice, fried pork, cutting candy, and all that, say cake. Ramen, fried chicken, hot dogs. Clearly the favorite foods of most of these characters, I'm guessing. With the giant girl saying that she's at least glad they liked his automatic cooking machine. Sorry. With her ongoing saying as long as there's enough food material, they can provide 500 different meals to each of them under a minute and all that stuff. But there's not enough resources to produce them, so she ends up punching the giant hologram. And it's the same thing with the ACC. Controlling the temp means being able to sense every living thing on the island. And they say if we could get more money, they can control stuff like the weather, but the world doesn't have enough tech or funding. Though they are shocked that she's able to punch a hologram, and it feels that she has these light pressure gloves, and they can just do anything with it. Even change the object into like a different thing, and I think the giant monster turns into like this hologram girl and all that stuff. Luffy's too busy eating his pizza, saying that this lady's clearly not real. But the young girl goes like, real or not? Let's see. It's up for the people who to decide, for those who are relics of a bygone age. With Jimbo asking who her are, she says that she's nothing but the humble genius scientist for hire, Dr. Vegapunk, as it's revealed to be Dr. Vegapunk Atlas, with the thing 06 on it. No, I'm told that the translation is actually supposed to be 05. shocking Luffy, Chopper, and Jimba. But Boney is like, let's see, that's like, as she already knows Vegapunk. And Luffy's just shocked because he actually knows the name from Kobe. So it's anyway, we cut to the new world, a world government a ship. And let's see, someone's been summoned up saying that and Kaku is explaining to Luffy that there's only one Vegapunk, but due to his genius and he doesn't have much time and all that stuff to do everything. So he created, let's see, 6 copies of himself into new different people. Explaining these 6 satellites all Dr. Vegapunk together. Well, there's like this actual main one, and we get the numbers of each of the Vegapunk, which is Shaka good, Lilith evil as 2, third is Thinker Edison, 4th Wisdom Pararas, let's see, 5 Violence Atlas, and 6 Greed York. Luffy doesn't really believe any of this, thinking that, but then again, thinks that's probably how much trouble these so-called geniuses are. And it's revealed that they have I believe, the Syphilin of the, let's see, Pathicita Saffron of a young Kuma who's, well, granted, let's see, there's an error where he has black hair, but he's supposed to have white hair, I believe, and I think, let's see, that'll be corrected in the volume and all that stuff, but yeah. They're supposed to apparently return it to the island and then eliminate all the Vegapunks and be careful, but also be careful and make sure they take everything valuable there. With Rob Lucci, this one questioning why they want to eliminate the most useful man in the world and all that stuff. And whether it has anything to do with, like, Lelucia the other day. With, oh yeah, I should probably say that Stussy is also there, as it's introduced as the Master Killer's Cyberfall Agus, with her saying that with someone of his perspective, they should probably not be looking for answers. With Kaku telling Urtzi saying exactly and telling Luffy not to drag them into trouble and all that stuff. Ending the chapter. First of all, I like how you get the Straw Hats reactions. Frankie, of course, just cannot help but be a fanboy and all that stuff. And just like, given the fact that he actually lived in his place and all that stuff. So it's like, oh, I'm such a huge fan. Can I have your autograph? Now, whether or not he's going to be disappointed in Vegapunk like Chopper was with Dr. Hogpack, I'm not sure, but I guess that depends on what the main one is like. But yeah. Usopp, of course, is just excited the fact that the giant robot, and no doubt Chopper and Luffy would be the same if they were there. Sanji, of course, beautiful woman, yay! Let's see, granted, I'm surprised that Brock hasn't, made a comment on his, like, habit of asking for women's, well, I'm not going to go there. Well, Robin is being calm and all that stuff about saying, like, questioning, like, how on earth this person can be, woman and all that stuff, and, given the fact that Vegapunk has a long history, like many people have suggested, and Nami's just like a bit outraged that this Vegapunk is trying to steal from them. All that stuff, but yeah. I do like how Zoro just remained calm and all that stuff, and just actually wants to ask Vegapunk for some demands and all that stuff, and it's clear to, I think, many people that the most likely scenario, he's asking about going to ask about the smile fruit and see if he can reverse the damages of it, the side effects, particularly to, like, the citizens, I believe, of Ibusa Town, the one where Lord Yashi was, who he befriended, and wants to probably help them remove their mask smiles so that they can never fade away and all that stuff, and like young Toko, see if he can do something about it, since, well, let's see, the smiles are based off of his designs and all that stuff. But yeah, I do like how Frankie just keeps continuing to fanboy about anything, even the Sea Beast designs, which I do like. And I like, let's see, from what I mentioned earlier, I do like how Usopp wants to fanboy, is also terrified at the same time. But yeah, but as it was probably many people had guessed, let's see, this Vegapunk is not actually the original Vegapunk, and that the clone body thing seems to be the case. With this one, given the O2 number, and her actual name is Lilith, and apparently her thing is evil, so that's probably why she's wants to plunder and harm the Straw Hats, even though they've done nothing wrong, thinking that they're, like let's see, thinking that they must have a lot of treasure and all that stuff. But I do like how she seems to get, and let's see, no, granted, I do like how she's like, the motivation is like, we need the funding and all that stuff, so yeah, of course we should take them and all that stuff, but it needs to be printed from like the first Ritzio Vegapunk, Shaka, I believe his name is. I'll get to him in a bit, but when he points out that she's underestimated the Straw Hats, particularly Zoro and Robin, and I do like how Robin is being put in the same level as like Zoro here, because, well, given her bounty is like nearly 1 billion and Zoro is over 1 billion, she's arguably one of the outside of Luffy. With Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, she is among the top 5 fighters of the group. Well, and all that stuff, though. And she's realized that, okay, these two serious, and they could probably take her down, and these sea beasts. And probably realizes that, she was being too distracted, of course, by Zoro and Sanji, because, not Zoro. Frankie, because, well, Frankie's too busy admiring her, and Sanji is too busy fussing over her. But I do find it funny how she seems to think Sanji's one of the idiots, but again, all the Straw Hats, well, maybe except Nami and Robin, and probably now Jinbei too, are sort of idiots in one way or another. But Sanji's just like, idiots around the woman and all that stuff, but yeah. So she's probably going to continue estimating Sanji until, a bit later. But yeah, I do like, but anyway, as for the Shaka Good one, I do like that he seems to be the calm, rational one and all that stuff, telling like witty Lilith to like calm down, you're underestimating the Straw Hats, no need to pick a fight, and is willing to end up willing to meet with Zoro and probably listening to his demands, as he has his own curiosity with them. If I'm going to guess, it's due to the fact that it's probably mostly due to the fact that with Kuma, with the request to like have him defend the Straw Hat ship for 2 years and all that stuff, there may be more things. There probably are, given the we'll see one of the future chapters, but I'm not going to go there and all that stuff just yet. But yeah, I do like how he's able to deduce that they stand no chance against the Straw Hats in a fight. But yeah, and it's clearly showing that the Straw Hats' reputation has finally gone to the point where there are people that are no longer underestimating them, since, well, they're now one of the 4 strongest pirate crews in the sea, or regarded as one of the 4 strongest pirate crews. Anyway, the revelation that Kuma is Bonnie's father. I think that was the theory that was going on for a long time, and what probably since the Lovely arc, when she's was disguising herself as an elderly queen of the Elusia Kingdom, and she seems to be furious that Kuma is being treated harshly by the slaves. And then they figured that instead of actually Whitebeard she was sad about, given let's see, during Battle of Marineford, where she was seen crying. People assume that was because what was happening to Whitebeard, but no, in fact, it was actually probably crying about Kuma because, well, she'd now probably realized that he's finally become a full-on cyborg and no longer has his emotions, so she's upset that her father's now fully gone. And her mission here is determined to probably kill Vegapunk, but also probably get some explanations. And depending on those explanations, art might end up just sparing his life. But it is interesting that she's actually been here before with Kuma and all that stuff, probably just before he got his cyborg modifications. Anyway, I do like the ritzy futuristic land and all that stuff, and I just like how Luffy and the others are just interacting with it. Let's see. Luffy wanted to ride on like the giant space monster only to get swallowed but actually go through it. Being reckless and hurting himself and all that stuff. And I do like how Luffy, Chopper, and Bonnie have now become a sort of, let's see, food-loving, silly trio. And just jumping on the things. Oh yeah, I should probably notice. I do like how after being corrected a few times, Luffy's finally remembers Bonnie's real name and all that stuff, probably due to the fact what happened to her father. He's probably taking her a bit more seriously and respecting her like a desire to be called a name and all that stuff. And that's what I'm just guessing. But I think he's just trying to be respectful. But yeah. But yeah, that's pretty quick, but well done to Bonnie. It only took her 2 chapters compared to most other people when Luffy gives her like a silly nickname. But I do like how just like those 3 just end up being outraged by the fact that it's a hologram, while Jimbo and later Bonnie's explaining it to Luffy, and he's going all looks like he's going Gear 5 in anger. At least it looks like it. But anyway, we are also now introduced to our third Vegapunk, and I do like how it seems to be this giant little sheep girl thing that's the same size as Kaido. And Luffy just trying to attack it, thinking it's a hologram, but she's mad enough that she ends up punching him quite strongly. Given how far Luffy is sent flying and all that stuff. So, yeah, she's not someone to anger. But, yeah. But she does end up calming down once the 3 end up eating, like her food, and she's glad they'd like that at least. But yeah, but she ends up but she shows more of her anger about the lack of funding and all that stuff and punches the hologram, turning it, I think, into a girl with these scientific gloves she has on. I think the ACR one, light pressure gloves with these AC machines and all that stuff. And I do find it interesting about her philosophy about whether it's real or not. It's for the person to decide, and saying for her, those words are a relic of the bygone age. So yeah, so this is clearly, she has some philosophy. This is clearly some of Vegapunk's philosophy. I do end up how the Straw Hats end up being shocked, particularly Luffy and Chopper, since Luffy heard Kobe's name, so it's like, yeah, from Kobe, so it's like he's actually paid attention for a change, since he doesn't usually listen when people explain stuff, as Jinbei learned when he was trying to explain who became an admiral in Yonko, Fleet Admiral in Yonko, after the time skip. But I do like how it's clear that Bonnie's actually met the actual Vegapunk and knows that this is not actually correct and all that stuff. And perhaps the most surprising thing in the chapter is the fact that we have CP0 who have explained the fact that Vegapunk split himself into 6 parts, which is clearly going to many people are going to reference, okay, Oda has done Sage of 6 Paths from Naruto, but with a Vegapunk here. So yeah, but granted, that might be a stretch since there's none of the paths here, and it seems to be a bit on this other thing. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I think it's some like Greek mythology stuff here, but I could be wrong. I probably need to look it up later. And I do like how Kakaku is trying to explain to Rob Lucci. She just seems to be confused by the whole concept. And apparently that, let's see, the shocking thing is that they're here along with the Sephen of Kuma, which I have no surprise probably going to get into contact with Bonnie and maybe even the Straw Hats. And maybe we'll actually get a bit of a fight with this one. Because it seems that these CP0 agents, August, are here to fight the Straw, are here to eliminate Vegapunk and all that stuff. Let's see, kill all the scientists, steal his resources and valuable items and all that stuff, and escort back to the world government and all that thing. So, yeah, this has led to many to assume that we're probably going to get a Luffy versus Rob Lucci rematch and maybe a Kaku versus Zoro rematch. Now, whether or not they can actually be a threat to the Straw Hats now, since they're now Yonko and Yonko Commander level, all that stuff. And we haven't really seen them actually properly fight since like NS Lobby, though. Though Rob Lucci did easily knock back Sai and Leo from the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, so they're at least stronger than the representatives, captains of the Grand Fleet at least. But yeah. But it is interesting the fact that we got Rob Lucci questioning the world government's motives and wondering if it's to do with like Lelucia that was destroyed, which seems to be a bit unlike him from what we've seen before, since he seems to be 100% loyal to the government. But this time he's questioning things that his co-workers are doing for. Now, whether or not these guys will make it into a long chapter or not remains to be seen, because there's some other stuff going on right now in the next few chapters. I look forward to reviewing them when the time comes, but for the time being, I'm probably just going to wrap up this chapter and say that this one is probably a sort of 9 out of 10. We've got a bit more confirmation that, yeah, that's not the real Vegapunk, and that he's actually cloned himself into 6 unique bodies, and I do like how each of them are different. The fact that we finally got confirmation that the theory that Kuma is Bonnie's father is true. The fact that the Straw Hats are being more taken serious by Yonko level, at least by one of the Vegapunks at least. All that stuff. Luffy, seeing the like land of science world and the Straw Hat, and like the fact that they have holograms there. And of course, like I said a little while earlier, CP0 is heading to the Vegapunk, and they're going to try and assassinate him. Whether or not they actually succeed remains to be seen. But yeah, overall, yeah, 9 out of 10. Let's see. I'm Blue Star Saber, signing off. For those who end up watching this, thank you for your time, and goodbye.